you're watching Gearz, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day.
Hey, welcome to Gearz, where we are back on the Cheetah project and dealing with some of the issues that you're going to face on your project, whether it's a car, truck, race car, whatever. And the first is heat and how to keep it down. Now, anytime you've got this much header and side pipe on a vehicle, you're going to have heat issues because those pipes are just going to radiate heat under the hood. That's part of the problem the original Cheetah had. Now, you can always wrap those pipes with some of the header wraps that are out there, and that's effective. But if you've got a cool looking header and you don't want to cover it up with a wrap, your only other option is to get them coated. So we shipped these off to the guys at Jet Hot, had them put on their high temperature coating. Now, Jet Hot was one of the first companies to offer high temperature exhaust coatings, and they're still around because their coatings help reduce radiant heat by helping keep it in the pipe, and they keep the pipes looking good because this stuff won't burn off or fade. Now, both of these are a big deal for a car like this, where the exhaust is such a main focal point. Also, if you think your only choices are silver and black, think again. Jet Hot has a whole line of colors. So we went with a metallic bronze that'll look great against the brushed stainless shrouds and the final color that we're going to put on the car. Okay, with the final fit of the exhaust done, we are ready to move on to another issue, the fuel system. And this has the potential to be a big problem area for people that want to put fuel injection on an early vehicle. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Now, if you've got a vintage car or truck, chances are it's got a very unique fuel tank in it. A fuel tank that you would like to reuse because you don't want to have one of those custom made. The problem is, though, modern fuel injection requires a send and return line and a lot of times an electric pump in the tank, which means you got to take the tank out, you got to cut it, you got to weld bungs on it, you got to do a lot of stuff. And if you've never welded on an old gas tank, you're not missing anything. It can shorten your lifespan if you don't do it right. Fortunately, Holley has come out with a system that will allow you to reuse the old tank, no welding required. Let's check it out. This is Holley's new universal in-tank fuel pump system. And at first glance, it looks pretty much like any other in-tank fuel pump system that you might run across, except there's a couple of really big differences. First of all, notice that there's an out and a vent. There is no return line here. That's because Holley has engineered this thing to where the regulator and the return is right here inside the tank. So the fuel pump pressurizes the line, giving you the fuel pressure you need, and then the regulator returns it right here inside the tank, meaning you don't have to run an auxiliary return line, nothing like that. Which means plumbing this up is about as simple as plumbing up a carburetor, a fuel line and a vent. Now, if you'll notice, the pickup tube's a lot different too, because you got this kind of pad looking thing. Well, this is Holley's Hydromat. And what's inside of it is a Holley secret, but the way it works is that any part of this that's touching fuel, it pulls the fuel through the mat and up into the fuel pump. Now, what this means is that you don't have to mount a sump in the bottom of your tank to deal with fuel slosh issues that you might run into on a road course or a drag strip or doing some hardcore off-roading. I mean, this is a big deal. But none of this makes any difference at all if you can't put that into a stock tank or a custom tank in just a few minutes without a welder. Let's take a look. The first step is to decide where you want to mount the pump. Now, it's important to keep it out of the way of the sending unit, the filler neck, or vents that you might be reusing, as well as any internal baffling that might be in the way. Now, since the Hydromat has a long reach, you can mount it off to one side, which is going to work best for this application. With that decided, you'll need to cut a rather large 3 1/4 inch hole in your tank. Now, make sure that you deburr the cut and get rid of any metal shavings that may end up in the tank. Once you're done with that, set the depth of the pickup tube and the pump and set the assembly in place. You'll notice that the unit comes with a very thick foam gasket and cammed nuts on the bottom. So when you turn the screws, the nuts pop out, supporting the inside lip of the tank. This allows you to tighten the screws, compressing the foam until it makes a leak-proof seal. The thickness of the foam is what makes it possible to seal on a smooth surface or ones with deep grooves like an original gas tank. And that is really all there is to it. Of course, you need to make sure there's no metal shavings in the tank. You need to reinstall your original sending unit and cap the original outlet. But other than that, you're ready to run your lines and do your fuel injection. If you have ever considered putting fuel injection on your old classic vehicle, Holley just made doing a fuel system a whole lot easier. You know, most people believe that everybody should have an old truck to kick around in or haul junk with. Matter of fact, there's an old saying that everybody that doesn't have an old truck wishes they did. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but one thing I do know is that everybody that has an old truck wants to keep it running. And that's not always an easy thing to do when things like work and kids and life in general get in the way. Take a look.
All across America, in thousands of garages, carports, and backyards, there sits a project that has become hindered, stalled, or halted by the lack of time, money, or expertise by the owner. Sometimes the project is so lopsided that the owner just needs to sell it and start over. Other times, all it needs is a kickstart to get it moving in the right direction again. That's where we come in. Gearz on the Road is brought to you by LMC Truck. Restore, maintain, customize.
So you find this stuff all the time? Tim LaRoche is a busy guy. His business of building barns and structures using old barn wood means he's constantly on the go, tearing apart old barns and unearthing hidden treasures that most people have long since forgotten. And before long, Tim and his wife Alicia found themselves the owners of Sweet Pickins, one of the coolest junk and antique shops east of the Mississippi. And inside that shop, you'll find just about anything. Hello? Now you're watching Gearz.
We went into an antique shop, the two of us, about 5 years ago. And she saw a barnwood table that she loved.
Yep.
And in typical guy fashion, I'm like, I can build that.
Yeah.
I made that first table for her. She saw it done and was like, you need to post that. And somebody's gonna want that. So I did, and it sold like the next day.
Now, this is all well and good unless you have a project truck or two, because those seem to follow him home as well. But there's really only one truck that's special to Tim, and that's his '67 Ford long bed.
The first time that I came down to visit, he came and picked me up at the airport with that truck. And he was just so excited about it and so thrilled about that truck, and, you know, kept telling me that he had this vision for it.
Unfortunately, over the years, the old Ford has been subjected to some pretty harsh driving. Some very creative body modifications. Now, listen, man, that's some pretty serious custom work there, man. Do they work?
They did.
And the donation of some of its parts to other project trucks. However, even with its broken steering column and non-running engine, the old truck is still in remarkable shape, but it won't stay that way for long if somebody doesn't do something with it. And that's exactly what we're going to help Tim do. Now, keep in mind, the purpose of these on-the-road segments is to give somebody a helping hand or some tools or some parts to help get them over the hump and get their project going again. We don't take away their man card and build a vehicle for them, nor do we do some sort of stupid deadlines or drama. Now, this is about gearheads helping other gearheads learn and do what they love to do. The first thing that had to be done was correct those Jurassic Park taillights. And some new LMC taillight buckets, lenses, and trim are exactly what's needed to fix this mess and make it safe and street legal again. This should pop in there pretty easy. A new tailgate will fill that very large gap between the rear bed sides and allow Tim to haul junk in the bed again. That's a nice tailgate.
Yeah, that's a really nice tailgate.
Now, since the truck originally had side trim, there's a lot of holes running down the side of the truck. And the best way to fill those is to cover them with some new trim. So we threw some of that in as well. Inside the truck, the biggest problem area is the broken steering column. And instead of messing with that, trying to get the parts to fix it, we set Tim up with a new LMC tilt column and wooden steering wheel.
Wow. I'm sleeping with this tonight.
I figured you'd like that. This will not only allow Tim to drive the truck again, but will also match his barnwood business to a T, which is what Tim plans on using this truck for, which is perfect. There you go.
That is awesome.
Now, there's no doubt that Tim has got some work to do on that truck, which is great. He's also excited about the truck again, which is even better. That's the whole point of this. So we're going to keep checking on his progress because that will give us a chance to check out what kind of junk he may be finding.
Tool Tech, brought to you by Cornwell Tools, the choice of professionals.
You know, most people realize how important it is for your engine to breathe properly for it to run its best. That's why guys have been swapping on aftermarket air intakes and exhaust systems since the first cars rolled out of Detroit. But as good as airflow is, getting airflow in the wrong way is not good. We call those leaks. Now, since most of your newer computer-controlled vehicles have a sealed system, leaks are a lot bigger deal than they used to be. They can affect your fuel mileage, your performance, they could even kick engine codes. So if you have leaks, you gotta fix them. But to fix them, you gotta be able to find them, you gotta even know you have them. And that takes special tools. So we hooked up with our buddies at Redline Detection to see just how many leaks we can find on this well-maintained, late-model Ram diesel pickup. It shouldn't have any, right? We'll see.
83% of the vehicles I test have leaks in them, and 39% of those vehicles have a leak that is compromising the fuel mileage, the reliability, the longevity, or the outright performance of the vehicle.
Now, you're talking vehicles that aren't very old, right?
Oh, we're talking on vehicles that are at the dealer's lots.
The Power Smoke Pro is a very simple machine to hook up. All it takes is putting a plug into the tailpipe, one into the intake, then adding some power and compressed air, and you're ready to go.
Takes 10 minutes. You put an inflatable bladder in the intake, one in the exhaust, you turn the smoke on, you adjust the pressure to your desired pressure, you're good to go. You'll see the leaks.
Now, the way it works is the plugs expand in the pipes, creating a leak-proof seal, and then smoke is forced into the system. This creates pressure, and the pressure can be adjusted to simulate different levels of boost. Then all you do is wait for the smoke to do its job and pinpoint the leaks.
One of the neatest things about this machine is it can be used for testing any of the pressurized systems on a vehicle. So you can check your intake or your exhaust, like you said, but we also use it for checking things like cooling systems, EGR coolers, oil coolers, crankcase leaks. A lot of times people don't realize if you have a leaky valve cover, we can actually just put the smoke into the dipstick fill tube and find the smoke coming out and really pinpoint what part of the valve gasket is leaking. We also have an adapter that comes in the kit that will allow you to find leaks on the exterior of the vehicle. So you can just simply turn on the fan inside of the vehicle, the blower motor, just to generate positive pressure in the cab, and then we can go around the outside with a gentle fog of smoke and look for the disruption of the smoke from the air coming out of the vehicle. If air is coming out, water and road noise are going in.
And sure enough, even though this is a fairly new truck that's been well maintained, we found some small leaks in the intake tube and the exhaust, and a bigger one around the EGR valve indicating a worn shaft. This is bad enough to affect performance and possibly even kick on an engine light. So if you're a professional mechanic or own a shop or build race cars or do anything with forced induction, or heck, you're just an enthusiast that wants your project vehicle to run the best that it can, you have got to get yourself a Power Smoke Pro, because this will allow you to test and diagnose leaks in any kind of a pressurized system, whether it be intake, exhaust, power steering, fuel, power brakes, you name it. This kit has got an adapter for you to test it. There's really nothing like it.
Now, Quick Tip, brought to you by E3 Spark Plugs, born to burn.
You know, everybody has that special car truck that they just love, whether it's a GTO or a Mach 1 or a Z28 or a Roadrunner or whatever. The problem is most of those kind of vehicles have now become high-dollar auction queens that are out of the price range of most hot rodders. Matter of fact, most of the people that own those cars don't even drive them, which is a shame. So instead of falling into that trap, today's tip is to look for a cool alternative car, like a Satellite Sebring or a Cyclone or a Torino or a Maverick or anything by Buick or AMC. I mean, those cars are out there because they're just old cars. They're a lot cheaper than the collectible brethren, and they're just sitting in garages. And the cool thing is, once you get a car like that, you can do whatever you want to it, not have to worry about messing up a collectible car. That's the mentality that started hot rodding, and those kind of cars and that mentality is still out there. You just have to go find them. If you'd like to learn more tips to make your life easier and a lot more fun in the shop, check out the tips page on the website.
And now, Parts Bin.
If you watch Gearz very much, you know we're always on the lookout for cool tools to help gearheads get out in the garage and build their project. And one of the most important tools that you can have in a shop is a good pouch of beef jerky. Now, good is the operative word here, because what you find at the local truck stop isn't always good, and it's not always good for you. So after extensive testing nationwide, we found a company called Gold Rush Beef Jerky, which could possibly be the world's best beef jerky. Now, how can I possibly say that? Well, check it out. You're gonna love this. They start with premium cuts of beef, and then they slow cook this stuff, so it's the perfect texture. It's not too wet, it's not too juicy, and it's not too dry either. This stuff is great. And then since everybody likes something different, they have 18 different flavors they put it in. Anything from hot and spicy to sweet and tangy. So there literally is something here for everybody. Now, if you're more of a beef stick sort of person, they've got those too. So if you're a gearhead, you know how important beef jerky is to you and your crew. And with Gold Rush Beef Jerky, the biggest problem you're gonna have is keeping other people's hands out of your stash. Oh, no, don't even try it. Don't even think about it, no! Oh, come on, give me that. Hey, where's the double habanero? Give me that. You know, one of the cool things about a vintage truck bed is the unique styling of it. One of the things that's not so cool are the chains that they use to latch the tailgate. Now, you can cover these chains and do the best you can to keep them from rattling, but they're still gonna rattle, they're gonna beat the paint up, and every once in a while, they'll come unlatched on you. So, what do? Well, LMC Truck has got a unique latching system that you're gonna love. Check this out. Now, this is a spring-loaded metal pin that mounts inside the tube here and replaces all this stuff. And what it does is allows you to latch the bed using this pin into the side of the bed. The best part is, the only part of this you're gonna see is this black pin that comes out on the inside of this metal tube. So it's super clean, super strong, keeps the vintage look, and gets rid of the chains. I know you wanna do this to your truck, and the only place that you're gonna find these is LMC Truck. Everybody knows how important bright taillights are. They can actually keep you from getting rear-ended by some distracted texter. The problem, though, with old muscle cars and trucks is they use that old filament-style bulb that's just not very bright. Fortunately, the guys at West Coast Classic Cougars have got a solution for that with these plasma LED bulbs that are designed to go right in place of your stock filament bulb. Now, as you can see, a dual filament bulb like this can be replaced with one that's red or one that's amber, and a single filament bulb like a backup light can be replaced with a white one. And like I said before, these are designed to pop right in place of the stock bulb. You can't get an easier install than that. And once you see these in operation compared to the stock bulbs, you'll be blown away. So before you jump into some expensive LED conversion or try to stick late model taillights into your Classic, you might just want to replace the bulbs. You will be surprised what a difference a plasma bulb will make. And West Coast Classic Cougars is who's got these.
What are you working on? Brought to you by Woodward Fabrication, selling quality metalworking equipment since 1966.
Today's What Are You Working On comes from Don Norris from Terre Haute, Indiana. And he and his wife have twin boys. And he said he wanted to get them involved in the car world. So they started looking for a car that they could all build together. But he and his wife were tired of the Mustangs, Camaros, Novas that you see all the time. Wanted something different. And he wanted it to be a four-door so they could throw the boys in the back. He said they started looking and man, they weren't finding anything until they found this peeking out from behind a building. Now what you're looking at is a 1955 Pontiac Chieftain that Don says is in great shape. Because it was a four-door Pontiac, it probably led a very easy life. But they knew they had found the car they wanted. So the first thing they did, strip it all down, start doing the paint work on it. While that was going on, Don and the two boys jumped into the engine compartment and cleaned it up and got it ready for the 350 crate engine that they're going to put in it. Now, Don says he's got a big wish list for this car, like most of us do. He wants to put on a new carburetor, an intake, performance distributor, aluminum radiator, maybe even stick a 9-inch under there. But he says, you know, he does have two sons, so funds are a little bit limited. And we can all relate to that. Well, Don, you got a cool project, so we can help you out with that a little bit. So we hooked up with our buddies at Woodward Fab. We're going to give you one of these small mechanics vices to help you when things get tight. Also, we're going to give you one of these project planning books so you can keep track of everything that you've done on that project. And we're going to give you a Gearz package, a t-shirt, one of the wiring books, and an O'Reilly gift card to help you offset some of the cost of that project. Also, we may look through your wish list here and there might be another surprise for you in the package. Now, the rest of you guys, if you want to get in on this, you want to get your project on the show, you got to go to the website and submit it to what are you working on in Gearz Nation. Remember, it doesn't have to be a show car. Heck, it doesn't even have to be finished. It just needs to be something that you're working on and you think is cool. Also, don't forget to check us out on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all of the social media, because we've got cool contests and things going on there too. All right. That takes care of it for today. I know you've got something to work on. I got a ton of things to work on. We will see you next time. Hello. Now you're watching Gearz.